My girlfriend's sister texted me, "If you come over, I won't tell." And suddenly, everything I thought was off limits felt impossible to resist. The story opens late at night. The narrator, a 23-year-old man, is alone in his small apartment, scrolling lazily through his phone after a long day. The room is dim, lit only by the soft glow of his screen. Outside, a quiet drizzle taps against the window, a rhythm that mirrors his restless thoughts. The calm is suddenly interrupted by a notification, a text from an unknown number. Curiosity peaks immediately, but there's something familiar about the tone. He unlocks the phone, and the message reads, "If you come over, I won't tell." The words hang on the screen. His thumb hovers over the keyboard, unsure whether to respond or ignore it. A shiver runs down his spine, a mixture of surprise, guilt, and an inexplicable excitement. He knows instantly who it's from. His girlfriend's older sister, confident and graceful. A woman in her early 40s who carries herself with an effortless elegance that leaves a subtle impression wherever she goes. He sits back, the tension coiling in his chest. His thoughts spiral. Why would she say that? Is she joking? Should I tell my girlfriend? Each option feels loaded, each decision significant. The camera, if visualized, would linger on the small gestures. His fingers tightening around the blanket, the way his shoulders hunch slightly as anxiety and intrigue mix. He rereads the message. The words are simple, almost casual, yet they carry a weight that feels heavy in his chest. There's an unspoken invitation in her tone, a hint of curiosity, or maybe loneliness, that tugs at something he doesn't fully understand. The narrator's mind is a swirl of conflicting emotions. Loyalty to his girlfriend, fascination with her sister, and the thrill of stepping into the unknown. Sensory details heighten the tension. The glow of the phone reflects faintly on his face, highlighting the slight flush on his cheeks. He can almost hear the soft click of his own heartbeat in the quiet of the room. Rain streaks down the window, a muted soundtrack to his internal conflict, each drop emphasizing the suspense of the moment. Even the smell of the night air seeping in through the slightly open window, the faint scent of wet pavement and damp earth, seems sharper, more intoxicating. The narrative should focus on subtle, intimate moments. The way he twitches his fingers as if the phone is an extension of his nervous energy. The shallow breaths that escape when he imagines her in the room. Or the quick glance at the dark hallway outside his apartment door as if imagining her presence. These small, sensory details create a magnetic tension that the audience can feel. By the end of this segment, the audience should be completely invested in his dilemma. The text is not just a message. It's a spark, igniting curiosity, ethical tension, and a subtle, unspoken attraction. Viewers are left wondering, will he go? What will happen if he does? The stage is set for the slow-burn romance, teasing the forbidden without crossing boundaries, pulling the audience into an intimate, emotionally rich world. He finally decides to go. Not for the thrill, he tells himself, but under a convenient pretext. He needs to borrow a book he left at her house or help with a minor household task. Still, his pulse is unsteady as he walks up the familiar path, each step amplified by anticipation. The rain from earlier has slowed to a mist, leaving a fresh, earthy scent in the air that clings faintly to his clothes. He feels it brush against his skin, mixing with the warmth of his own nervous energy. The door opens, and she stands there, framed by the soft glow of the hallway light. She's dressed casually but effortlessly stylish, nothing flashy, yet every movement has a grace that seems instinctive. Her eyes widen slightly when she sees him, but it's not surprise that dominates. It's something warmer, an unspoken acknowledgement of the tension between them. She gestures him inside with a slight tilt of her head, a movement that is casual on the surface but electric underneath. Once inside, the house feels unusually intimate. Small sounds, the ticking of a clock, the faint hum of the refrigerator, even the soft shuffle of their feet on the floor, become magnified in the quiet. She moves around to fetch what he came for, and their interactions are simple yet charged. Hands brush accidentally while passing an object, lingering just slightly longer than necessary. He feels the warmth radiating from her, a subtle heat that leaves him momentarily startled. She notices the brief contact, a small, knowing smile tugging at the corner of her lips, as if acknowledging the unspoken tension. Every ordinary action, the passing of a book, reaching for a cup of tea, adjusting a cushion, carries a quiet intimacy. The way her fingers graze his while handing something over, the brush of her shoulder when she turns in the narrow hallway, the tilt of her head as she laughs softly at a joke. These small details are magnified in his mind. He is hyper-aware of her presence. The faint scent of her perfume, the softness of her hair as it falls across her shoulder, the sound of her voice, low and melodic, that seems to fill the room in a way that is almost distracting. The narrator's internal monologue reflects this mix of nervousness, fascination, and guilt. He notices everything, her laugh, the slight crease in her brow when concentrating, the casual elegance in the way she moves. But he also keeps reminding himself that he's overstepping boundaries. This tension, the push and pull between ethical restraint and magnetic attraction, drives the narrative and keeps viewers invested. By the end of the visit, their closeness has grown naturally, subtly, and accidentally. No words are spoken about the attraction, yet the audience feels it in every lingering glance, every gentle touch, every shared laugh that hangs in the air. The scene leaves viewers emotionally hooked, craving the next step. Will the connection deepen, or will the narrator retreat, torn by conscience? The key here is slow, deliberate pacing, highlighting small, everyday interactions that feel electric under the surface, creating intimacy without rushing into romance, and allowing the tension to simmer naturally. After leaving her house, he walks home in a daze, the cool night air pressing against his skin, each raindrop from the lingering mist clinging to his hair and jacket. His mind is a whirlwind. Every memory from the visit, her laugh, the brush of her hand, the warmth of her presence, plays like a quiet film on repeat. He can't stop analyzing every glance, every accidental touch. It was innocent, he tells himself, yet something inside him refuses to believe that. Back in his apartment, the dim glow of his lamp casts shadows that feel heavier than usual. He sits on the edge of his bed, hands clasped tightly, as if holding on to some invisible anchor. The room feels smaller tonight, as though the walls themselves are leaning in, amplifying the conflict in his chest. He replays the moments in painstaking detail, the way her fingers lingered on the book, the tilt of her head when she smiled, the faint scent of her perfume that still seems to hover around him. Each memory brings a pang of guilt and an equally strong twinge of longing. He knows he crossed a line, or at least approached it dangerously. His thoughts keep returning to his girlfriend, the one who trusts him implicitly. Every fiber of his loyalty screams that he should never have entertained the idea of being alone with her sister. Yet another part of him, quiet and insistent, cannot ignore the magnetic pull he felt. It's confusing, contradictory, and profoundly unsettling. The audience feels the push and pull as he battles his conscience against his unexpected attraction. Sensory details heighten the emotional tension. He runs his fingers through his hair, the strands damp from the mist outside. The faint scent of rain still clings to his jacket, mixing with the lingering aroma of coffee he forgot to drink. His heartbeat thunders in his ears, every pulse a reminder of the intensity he felt in her presence. Text notifications buzz intermittently, but he ignores them, because each vibration threatens to pull him further into distraction. His phone feels heavy in his hand, much like the weight of his thoughts. The narrator's internal monologue takes center stage, giving viewers access to the intimate, chaotic swirl of guilt, curiosity, and suppressed desire. He questions himself constantly. Am I overthinking this? Was she just joking? Or is there something here I shouldn't acknowledge? The moral tension is as palpable as the physical. He's drawn to her, but the ethical boundaries of loyalty and respect loom large. By the end of this segment, viewers should feel deeply invested in his inner turmoil. They see a man torn between what feels instinctively right and the magnetic pull of an unexpected attraction. There's no resolution yet, only simmering tension, moral conflict, and the subtle thrill of the unknown. This part emphasizes internal conflict over action, letting the audience experience the slow burn suspense from the narrator's perspective. It's not about forbidden romance yet. It's about the emotional weight of desire, the ethical hesitation, and the intensity of accidental intimacy that lingers in the mind long after a single encounter. A few days later, he finds himself back at her house. Not because he can't resist, he reminds himself, but because she asked for help with something small. A leaky faucet, a misplaced document, an overdue package. Yet, the mundane nature of the visit does little to quiet the quiet thrill of anticipation that coils in his chest as he approaches the familiar door. The faint scent of rain-soaked earth and her subtle perfume greets him again, blending into a comforting yet disarming mix. Inside, the house feels warmer than usual, the lighting soft and homey, casting gentle shadows across the familiar furniture. She's sitting on the edge of the couch, legs tucked slightly under her, absorbed in some task. When she notices him, her face softens into a gentle smile, a small acknowledgement that seems to bridge the gap between them without a word. He hands her the item she requested, and for a moment, their fingers brush. Accidental, yet the touch lingers a heartbeat longer than necessary. Neither pulls away immediately, both caught in the subtle electricity of the gesture. It's in these ordinary actions that intimacy begins to bloom. As they work together, helping to organize a shelf or adjusting some furniture, they talk quietly, laughing softly over shared jokes. Her voice, calm and measured, resonates in a way that fills the space around him. He notices the subtle quirk of her eyebrow when she's amused, the gentle curl of her fingers as she gestures, the way her gaze lingers just a moment too long. Each small detail deepens his awareness of her presence. Then, unexpectedly, she shares something personal, a worry, a fleeting insecurity, or a reflection from her past. It's not dramatic, not heavy, but honest and quiet. He listens, leaning slightly closer, offering empathy without overstepping. The distance between them narrows, unspoken yet deliberate. Her eyes soften when she realizes he is truly attentive, and a faint, almost imperceptible sigh escapes her. He feels a protective warmth well up inside him, a desire to comfort without exploiting, to be present without overstepping. The audience should notice the sensory richness, the warmth radiating from her as she speaks, the soft brush of her hair against her shoulder as she shifts, the faint smell of tea lingering in the air, the subtle hum of the refrigerator and the ticking clock that punctuate the quiet space. The tension is not sexual. It's emotional, grounded in care, trust, and unspoken attraction. Every small gesture, every lingering glance, amplifies the connection. By the end of the visit, a natural closeness has formed. Their proximity is charged but unspoken, a delicate balance of respect, curiosity, and emotional intimacy. He leaves with a sense of fulfillment and unease, a quiet joy in the connection they share, and an awareness of the moral boundaries he continues to navigate. The audience feels the slow burn allure of forbidden closeness, intrigued by the subtle depth of their bond. This segment emphasizes emotional vulnerability and slow-building intimacy, showing how trust and shared openness deepen the connection. The romance simmers through presence, attention, and the careful navigation of personal boundaries, setting the stage for tension that is as heartfelt as it is tantalizing. A week has passed since their last encounter, and the tension between them has begun to settle into something almost tangible, a quiet electricity that hums beneath ordinary interactions. He finds himself back at her house under the guise of helping with a minor errand. This time, there's a lighter air between them, a teasing ease that contrasts with the seriousness of their previous encounters. Yet beneath the laughter, the attraction simmers, unspoken but impossible to ignore. The visit begins innocuously with a few shared chores. She asks him to hold a box while she adjusts a shelf, and his fingers brush hers in passing. Neither pulls away immediately. There's a hesitation, a fleeting awareness that their proximity carries more meaning than practicality. She catches his glance and smirks softly, an expression that's both knowing and mischievous. It's the kind of small, intimate acknowledgement that stirs something deeper, an unspoken invitation to play, to test boundaries. Their conversation flows naturally, playful teasing layered over casual topics. She jokes about his concentration, exaggerating his clumsiness in a way that makes him laugh despite himself. The sound of his laughter seems to linger longer in the room, mingling with the faint scent of her perfume and the soft hum of the ceiling fan. He notices the curve of her smile, the tilt of her head as she laughs, the sparkle in her eyes when she catches him off guard. These details, seemingly mundane, carry an intimacy that words alone cannot convey. At one point, she deliberately places herself slightly closer while reaching for something, and their knees brush under the table. A subtle heat rises in his chest, a jolt of awareness that makes him self-conscious, but also acutely aware of how magnetic her presence has become. Their hands almost touch again while passing a pen, and he catches himself staring at her palm for just a heartbeat too long before shaking off the thought. The tension is electric but unspoken, thrilling and nerve-wracking all at once. Throughout the interaction, he oscillates between exhilaration and guilt. Every laugh, every shared glance, every light touch carries the weight of the forbidden. His mind is a whirlwind of desire tempered by conscience, the knowledge that he's stepping dangerously close to a line he shouldn't cross. Yet, the warmth of their playfulness, the comfort of mutual understanding, keeps pulling him in, urging him to linger in this precarious balance between propriety and temptation. By the end of the visit, the playful energy leaves both of them slightly breathless, not from exertion, but from the intensity of shared glances, the teasing proximity, and the subtle magnetic pull of attraction. The audience should feel the thrill of flirtation, the anticipation of what might happen next, and the weight of ethical tension. Every gesture, smile, and glance is imbued with a sense of possibility, but nothing is forced or explicit. This segment emphasizes flirtatious tension as a slow-burn narrative device. By blending humor, teasing, and physical closeness, it deepens the connection while maintaining YouTube-safe boundaries, setting the stage for the emotional confrontation that will follow. The tension that has been simmering for days reaches its peak during this visit. He comes over, ostensibly to help with something minor, but there's an unspoken awareness in the air. Both of them know this encounter will be different. The room feels charged, as if the walls themselves are attuned to the quiet electricity between them. The soft glow of the lamp casts shadows across familiar furniture, turning ordinary objects into intimate markers of proximity and presence. She sits across from him on the couch, legs folded to one side, hands resting loosely on her lap. He notices the subtle tremor in her fingers, the way her gaze flits to his for a fraction of a second before looking away. There's a vulnerability there, quiet but undeniable, that invites him closer. Not physically yet, but emotionally. His own heart pounds, a mix of nervousness, anticipation, and the faint ache of guilt for even acknowledging the attraction he feels. The conversation starts casually but soon drifts into personal territory. She speaks softly, hesitating over her words, revealing small truths about her feelings. Loneliness, curiosity, the internal conflict of wanting something she shouldn't. He listens, leaning slightly forward, genuinely attentive. Their proximity is intimate yet careful. Knees brush under the table, hands almost touch when he hands her a notebook, and each minor contact is magnified by the emotional weight between them. He finds himself speaking honestly, admitting his own conflicted feelings. The words are halting, measured, and careful, each syllable heavy with the weight of what they might imply. He acknowledges the tension, the attraction, and the guilt, but also the warmth, admiration, and respect he feels for her. The room grows quieter, as if even the rain outside has paused to listen. Their eyes meet, holding, searching, acknowledging unspoken truths. Sensory details enrich the moment. The faint scent of her perfume mingles with the soft hum of the heater, the subtle rustle of fabric as they shift positions, the warmth radiating from her presence. Each small gesture, tucking a stray strand of hair behind her ear, a gentle shift of her hand closer to his on the couch, heightens the emotional intimacy. There's no overt physicality. The story relies on tension, glances, and shared vulnerability. By the end of this confrontation, there's clarity. Both recognize the depth of their attraction and the ethical boundaries that exist. There's no need for dramatic declarations. The truth is in the way they listen, the way they pause before speaking, the shared understanding in their eyes. The emotional tension resolves into a quiet connection, an acknowledgement of feelings without the pressure of action. The days after their emotional confrontation feel unusually heavy. Every casual interaction, every message notification, and even the ordinary rhythms of life carry the subtle weight of what happened between them. He thinks about her constantly, the warmth of her presence, the way her laughter lingers in his mind, the fleeting touch of her hand on his. Yet alongside the fascination lies a profound sense of responsibility, a reminder of the boundaries that must guide his actions. Eventually, the pull of honesty leads him to another visit. This time, the atmosphere is calmer, more reflective. The room is bathed in the golden glow of late afternoon sunlight filtering through the curtains, casting a soft, comforting warmth over familiar furniture and shared spaces. She sits on the couch, legs tucked to the side, her posture relaxed but eyes attentive, as if waiting for him to speak. The tension is still there, subtle and quiet, but it no longer carries the same sharp edge. It has softened into understanding. They talk not about attraction, not about guilt, but about clarity. He acknowledges the feelings that arose, and she admits the moments of curiosity she felt. There is no blame, no accusation, only honesty and a mutual recognition of the unusual connection they share. Their conversation is punctuated with small gestures, a reassuring hand on the arm, a gentle laugh at a shared memory, a slight lean toward one another as if drawn together by the emotional gravity of their exchange. These gestures are charged, not sexually, but with the intimacy of understanding and shared vulnerability. The resolution takes a form that is both realistic and emotionally satisfying. Perhaps they decide to step back, consciously choosing boundaries that protect his relationship while preserving the newfound bond with her. Or, in a more daring but still delicate scenario, they acknowledge the attraction and agree to explore it cautiously, understanding the risks and responsibilities involved. The story may even leave a bittersweet note. They part for the moment, changed by the connection, carrying the emotional imprint of what could have been. Sensory details enrich this final part. The warmth of the sunlight, the subtle creak of the couch as they shift, the faint smell of her perfume mingling with the afternoon air, the gentle sound of her voice as she laughs softly. Each element reinforces the emotional resonance, grounding the audience in the intimacy and realism of the moment. By the end, there is emotional closure. The audience feels the culmination of the slow-burn tension that has been carefully built through subtle touches, lingering glances, and heartfelt conversation. The story doesn't need a dramatic climax. Its power lies in the quiet, human authenticity of the characters' choices and the depth of the bond they've shared. The takeaway is clear. Romance doesn't always need fireworks to be compelling. Sometimes, it's in the lingering glances, the subtle touches, and the honesty that allows two people to connect, grow, and understand each other. Whether they end up together, apart, or somewhere in between, the connection leaves a lasting impact, both on the characters and on the audience, delivering the satisfying emotional resonance that makes a slow-burn romance unforgettable. If you felt the tension, the emotions, and the slow-burn connection in this story, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more stories that pull at the heart and keep you on the edge of your seat. And comment below, what would you do if you were in his shoes?